Today we're going to be talking about the Everglades tomato. Now, this is my original mother plant, and she had quite the cold damage. She's over a year old, but you can see she's 6 foot tall, and her offspring are ready to go. And then look down here, you're going to see that she makes little babies. Look at the babies. Look at the babies. So once you have an Everglade tomato, even though it looks like this and it was severely cold damaged, you're always going to have Everglade. She's still producing, even though she has such severe damage. That's how hardy these things are. So when I break, look, I'm going to break a stem. It's still green in there. Even though it looks terrible, and this plant is literally on her last legs. Remind you, she is over a year old. And she has made baby after baby after baby. So I'm going to delve into the history of the Everglades tomato and explain propagation techniques, as well as like what to do with these volunteers. This is a volunteer. So a volunteer is one that just grows from the mother plant, and then they just show up. I was sidetracked a little bit by silkies. But here's one example of another volunteer. Um, so this, look, it already has a little fruit growing on it. I got sidetracked by silkies. um, yeah, so this just grew in my yard. So, as you can see, I live in an urban setting. This is not anything special. It's just typical yard. But, but look, volunteer. Here's yet another volunteer. This one has ripe fruit. It is also showing signs of cold damage because we did have kind of a cold front come in last month. So that's why the leaves are kind of whitish. It's from cold damage, but it still is producing fruit. And these guys are great. These little tomatoes, they pack such a tiny amount of flavor. Like they're very sweet, yet slightly acidic. And then they also make the best ketchup. Like, I don't know if you're a ketchup fan, but these guys, they make the best ketchup. And they are, if they make it into the house, because I usually snack on them out in the garden, if they make it into the house, that's what I do with them. I make ketchup or tomato sauce. I do grow aromas as well, like for spaghetti sauce. Oh, look, hello, butterfly. Butterfly. um, yeah, these guys are great. Look how tiny. But they have so much flavor packed into this tiny little tomato, that you wouldn't even believe that this is, a tomato. Like they almost taste like a berry. Next, I'd like to talk about propagation. Sometimes you do get some failures, so you're gonna take clippings, and sometimes some of them don't make it. Whee! Bye. But sometimes they grow a root. So this one's probably 4 days in the water. And I do use water out of my pond. I have a koi pond. because it's rich in nitrogen and phosphorus, and all of the things that fishes give. I also started some mulberry, everbearing mulberry, and you can just do this in a cup. This one's done. Bye. So get rid of all the bad ones there. So when you propagate, and I'm going to show you in a bit, but here's even on this little one, you're going to see that there's something growing in between two stems. You have the main stem, and then you have two offshoots. In between these, this is called a sucker. So when that grows a bit, you're going to want to clip that and then place that in water with rooting hormone and or pond water or compost tea. You can use compost tea. Compost tea is basically where you take all your weeds and excrement from your chickens or whatever livestock that you have, and you're going to put that in a 5-gallon bucket, and you're going to let that steep. And it does stink. Like, it stinks like death, like like a corpse. It does smell. But the result is this frothy looking brown water, and you're gonna get roots. So look at all these roots. Look, just from 4 days. Can you see that? All these little things poking out, those are new roots. So after 4 days, this plant already has roots. And I took this from my mother plant that has the severe cold damage, and it bounced back. So these things, these Everglades tomatoes, they're basically indestructible. That's why they're so great for Florida, because the climate is hot, it's arid, it's humid. In the summer months, like between, I would say end of July and September, it is so hot here that it is like living in a microwave, you know. I typically neglect my garden during those months because I cannot tolerate being outside longer than maybe 15 minutes, and that's fine to do. Most of my gardening, or I would even argue that most of Florida's gardening, Central and South Florida especially, is done through September, late September, through the winter, and into early June. So past that, I hire people to come mow my lawn. I don't want to be out here, you know, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. As long as you're preserving and you're doing the things that, you need to do throughout the rest of the year, it's fine to do that. When it comes to seed propagation, you're going to take a couple tomatoes, and you have a jar of water, just a little half pint jar. You're going to squeeze the contents of the tomato into the jar. All of it. Just leave it in there. And then do that with a few of them. Squeeze out the contents. Because tomato seeds, they have this kind of gelatinous kind of cover over them. So you want to ferment them a little bit and get that gelatinous cover off. So we're going to leave this for probably 2 to 3 days. You're going to lid it. Okay, just typical finger tight. You don't want anything too tight because you want a little air to get in there for the fermentation process. And then you're going to put this little jar, whatever jar you have. It can be a reused jar, whatever. And sit this in a cool, dark place. I'm going to put this in the garage. And then in a couple days, I'm going to come out and I'm going to open the lid up. And I'm going to, anything that's floating on the top is bad. So I'm going to spill that out and add more water. Shake it up. Okay, you're going to shake it. And then you're going to do the same thing the next day. After about 3 to 4 days, you're going to keep doing that until the water runs clear. And then you will be able to lay these on a napkin or a paper towel. The seeds that sink to the bottom are the good ones. You're going to put those on a paper towel, and you're going to let them dry out completely. So sometimes it takes 3 days, sometimes 4, and then you can bag those up and you'll be able to plant those next season. Odds are, though, you won't have to, because unless you're giving them away to friends, or I give them to my local plant stand. But odds are your mother plant is, once you get one going, you're gonna have volunteers all over your yard, because I kind of do. I kind of weed whack them down at this point.